Hello viewers, welcome to my channel IIT Olympiads and AP Physics with Ambarish. So in today's video I am going to discuss INPHU 2012. This is a problem based on rotational mechanics and one of the students had requested me to do a video on this, so here I am. So let me read out the question. See, in fact I have modified the language a little bit to accommodate in short, but I have kept the entire essence of the question intact. So let me read out the question for you. Figure shows mechanical system free of any dissipation. Two spheres A and B, each of equal mass m, and a uniform connecting rod AB of length 2r has mass 4m. So what's happening? This sphere has got a mass m, this sphere also has got a mass m, and this rod, this entire rod which can rotate about this shaft, or maybe you can say it is connected to the shaft, but this shaft is massless, which the problem is calling as collar, and the whole thing can rotate freely about frictionless pivots. Okay, and what's happening is, like, from this tube some balls are falling down on this sphere at regular intervals, and due to the impact this will start rotating, and then we have to comment on how the omega will vary with the number of balls striking, right? So let me read it out. So mechanics, two spheres each of equal mass m and a uniform connecting rod AB of length 2r has mass 4m. So this rod has got a mass of 4m. So you can imagine that as if this has a length r and mass 2m, and this has length r and mass 2m, because because the entire length is 2r and it's symmetric. Okay. The collar is massless. This thing he is calling as collar, and that's massless. Right above the position of sphere B is a tunnel from which balls each of mass m fall vertically at suitable intervals. So from here, at suitable interval means for the purpose is that when this rotates, then A will come over here and then another ball will hit it. Okay, each of mass m fall vertically at suitable interval. The falling balls cause the rods and the attached spheres to rotate. Okay, sphere A, when it reaches the position now occupied by sphere B, suffers a collision from another falling ball, and so on. So this will come there, and then another ball falls, and then again B will come there, and the process will go on. Okay, and just before striking, the falling ball has velocity v. All the collisions are elastic, and the spheres as well as the falling balls can be considered to be point masses. Find the angular velocity omega I of the system after the ith ball hits a sphere, assuming that initial angular velocity was 0. So actually this was part D of the original problem, but I have asked only part D because parts A, B and C will be the part of solving for part D. So I have just omitted part A, B, C. I just asked the last part. And of course one of the parts was what will be the velocity of these spheres after a large number of balls have collided. So we'll see. Okay, if you want, you can pause the video and you can try out the problem. It's a very nice problem, and then you can have a look at my solution, or you can continue with my analysis. I'll get into the analysis right away. Okay, so what is my solution scheme? See, balls are colliding here, and if I consider a ball and this rotating rod plus sphere system, the impulse of collision between these two is an internal impulse, and therefore angular momentum can be conserved. So a convenient axis for conserving the angular momentum will be, in fact, not just convenient axis, this is the only axis about which you can conserve the angular momentum. Why? Because when this ball is striking, there might be some impulse from this axis also, but about this axis the angular impulse will be still 0, and therefore I can conserve angular momentum about this axis. So that will be one part. Using angular momentum conservation, we will find omega I plus 1 in terms of omega I. So what is omega I? Omega is the angular velocity after the collision of ith ball. So we will try to get a recursion relation between omega I plus 1 and omega I. Okay, and then we will solve the recursive relation for omega I in terms of I, V and R. So let's get into the process. Now, what is the moment of inertia of the system? So this is 2m, and then rod about endpoint, you can think r length rod about endpoint, so that is ml square by 3. So here it becomes 2m into r square by 3. So 2m into r square by 3 for this much part, and then this is like a point mass, so mr square plus 2 by 3 mr square, and whole thing should be multiplied by 2 because here also equal mass rod is there and a sphere is there. So this moment of inertia is 10 by 3 mr square. Okay, now let's talk about the conservation of angular momentum. So let omega I plus 1 be omega after ball number I plus 1 hits, and u be the velocity of falling ball after collision. Okay, so let me correct the direction of this one. I should have showed this in the downward direction. Okay, so let's say u is like this. It doesn't matter, you could even take upwards, but it's quite possible that even after collision this ball is moving downward. It's quite possible because relative to the colliding sphere the velocity is to reverse, so it may or may not reverse in the ground frame. So it's fine even if you take it downwards or upwards. Okay, you'll get the sign value accordingly. Okay, so now using conservation of angular momentum, 10 by 3 mr square omega I, this is the angular momentum of the spheres plus the rod system, and plus mvr, this is the angular momentum of the incoming ball. So this had before collision, it had velocity v downward and this distance was r, so plus mvr, and this should be equal to what? This should be equal to, again here it should be now plus, instead of minus this should be a plus. Okay, so 10 by 3 omega 10 by 3 mr square omega I plus 1 and plus mur. So this is our angular momentum conservation equation, and the other equation I'll need to write for coefficient of restitution. So what is the restitution equation? So initial velocity of approach is v minus omega ir. See, this had a velocity of omega I into r in the downward direction. Okay, and the incoming ball had a velocity v. So what was the velocity of separation? Rather, velocity of approach was v minus omega ir, and velocity of approach should be equal to e times velocity of separation. So what will be the velocity of separation? So this will be now minus, it doesn't matter, could have taken other way around also, fine. So omega I, so this will be moving downward with the velocity omega I plus 1 r, and this is moving downward with u. So this is the velocity of separation. Okay, so now this is the angular momentum conservation equation, and this one is the restitution equation. Now I can solve equation 2 and 3 simultaneously, and if you do that, I did in a computer algebra system, but this simple system you can solve by hand also. So this is your omega I plus 1 that you get upon solving the system. That is omega I plus 1 is 7 by 13 omega I plus 6 by 13 v by r. So this is our recursion relation. Okay, now I want the omega I in terms of I itself and not in the terms of previous omega. So I need to do a suitable manipulation so that I can eliminate the intermediate omegas, and I can directly get the omega I. So now using this recursion relation, let's try to write the pattern. Right now forget the whatever I have done in pink, just look at whatever I have done in blue. So omega 1 will be what? After first collision, initial omega is 0. So 7 by 13 into 0, that is 0, and plus 6 by 13 v by r. So this will be the angular velocity after first collision. Then what about omega 2? Omega 2 will be 7 by 13 omega 1 plus 6 by 13 v by r, and so on. I have written the pattern. So similarly omega I will be what? 7 by 13 omega I minus 1 plus 6 by 13 v by r. Okay, and now I need to multiply these equations by suitable factors so as to eliminate the intermediate omega, so that I can straight away solve for omega final, right? So what I can do, see here you are getting omega 1, and if you want to get rid of omega 1, so here also you should get omega 1. So what you can do, you can multiply the second equation by 13 by 7. So if you multiply this by 13 by 7, this 13 by 7 cancels this 7 by 13, and this again becomes omega 1. So here omega 1 is on the LHS, and here omega 1 will be on the RHS, and this omega 1 will cancel off with this omega 1 after multiplying by 13 by 7. So you can see that this term will cancel out. But now when you multiply this by 13 by 7, the coefficient of this omega 2 will become 13 by 7, and to cancel this omega 2 coefficient should also become 13 by 7 then to cancel this. So here you will need to multiply it by 13 by 7 squared. Why? Because there's already 7 by 13. If you multiply by 13 by 7 squared, this will be 13 by 7. So this is 13 by 7 omega 2, and this will also become 13 by 7 omega 2, and these two terms will cancel off after multiplication. Similarly, I hope you are able to get the pattern, and if you continue this pattern, what will you do? The ith equation you will multiply by 13 by 7 to the power I minus 1, and then you add up all the equations, and you will see that you will all the intermediate omegas will cancel out, and what will you be left with? So see, since there was no cancelling term, that the cancelling term for this omega I would have occurred in the I plus 1 equation, but that I have not written. So If I just add all of them, you know that omega 1, omega 2, omega 3, all these will cancel, and only omega I will remain, and omega I will be multiplied by 13 by 7 whole to the power I minus 1. So that's what I've written, 13 by 7 whole to the power I minus 1 omega I. That should be equal to what? Now see, this is 6v by 13r, then this is 6v by 13r into 13 by 7, and you can see the summation is that of a GP. So you take 6v by 13r common, and then you 1 plus 13 by 7 plus 13 by 7 square. So this is the GP that you get on the RHS. And now it's a simple manipulation. All of you know, might be knowing the summation of a GP. So I've just used the GP sum formula over here. So 6 by 13 v by r into 1 minus 13 by 7 to the power I divided by 1 minus 13 by 7. And this should be equal to on the LHS this. And if you just rearrange the terms and simplify, you get omega I is v by r into 1 minus 7 by 13 whole to the power I minus 1. And from here you can see as I approaches infinity, this term will go to 0, and your final angular velocity would be v by r. Now could I guess that final angular velocity will be v by r, just even without doing all this calculation? Answer is yes. Why? Because see, when the velocity of the spheres becomes equal to the velocity of approaching balls, then there will be no more further collisions, right? So what will happen, as the velocities of the spheres keep on increasing due to collisions, the successive collisions will become will have lesser and lesser impact, because the relative velocity will be smaller and smaller. And when the velocity of the sphere becomes equal to that of the incoming ball, then there is no impact at all, and then the turbine will rotate with constant angular velocity. Okay, so as I tends to infinity, omega tends to v by r. That was also a part of the question in the original question. In fact, that was part A, and I hope you understood the solution. And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you liked my solution. If you liked my solution, please do give a thumbs up to my video, and please share this video as much as possible in your various academic groups, wherever you are doing networking with fellow students through WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever academic media, networking media you might be using. And most importantly, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. That's what motivates me. Almost daily I check the analytics of my channel, and it makes me very happy when I see the subscription count grow. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Please do keep coming back for more awesome stuff. I'll be bringing many more problems for all of you. And that's it for this video. See you in the next one. God bless you.